Conditional if-then sentences are often used in deductive arguments. Viewer discretion is advised.
Today I'm going to talk to you about if-then sentences, conditional sentences. If P, then Q. Well, what you do is you substitute in simple sentences for P and Q. So, if it rains, then we get wet. If it's a dog, then it's an animal. If he works at Kirkwood, no, that's a bad one. Oh, I got one. If it rains, then I promise to give you a ride home. So these are all examples of conditional if-then sentences. And I'll tell you something, if-then sentences can be tricky.
Did you call me tricky? Not tricky.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings about that.
Oh, that's okay. I guess I am tricky. Here's a little song about it.
I'm just an if-then, a conditional statement, but I want to be in a well-formed argument. But nobody understands me, 'cause I'm hard to get. I can be confusing to you, but someday I hope I get used correctly in an argument.
Well, that was weird. But anyway, we're going to talk more about, let me show you a little bit more about how if-then. Oh, I am Norma Bates. No, but we'll talk more about how these if-then sentences work. And one thing that's weird about if-then sentences is if the antecedent is true and the consequent is false, then the whole thing's false.
The antecedent is the first part of the if-then statement. It's what comes after the if and before the then. So in the sentence, if it rains, then I promise to give you a ride home, it rains is the antecedent. You can think about ante, meaning before. You ante up in poker. Also, antebellum means before the Civil War. The consequent, on the other hand, is the second part of the if-then. It comes after the then. So, in the sentence, if it rains, then I promise to give you a ride home, the consequent is, I promise to give you a ride home. So, in the form of the sentence, the skeleton, if P, then Q, P is the antecedent, Q is the consequent.
But,
Then.
what's that?
If P, then Q is false only if the antecedent, P, is true and the consequent, Q, is false. It is true in all other cases. This means, for example, that if the antecedent is false and the consequent is false, we count the entire conditional as true. So, in the if-then sentence, if the moon is made of green cheese, then Brad Pitt is POTUS, President of the United States. The antecedent is false and the consequent is false. Therefore, that whole sentence is true. Let me say that again. If the moon is made of green cheese, then Brad Pitt is POTUS is true. Oh, I put the L's in upside down. Why if-then sentences work like that is something you'll find out in the next video. But until then, I'm Chris McCord, Professor of Philosophy at Kirkwood Community College, and this is Basic Reasoning Rock.
If-then, a conditional statement, but I want to be in a well-formed argument. But Nobody understands me.